All right, that was a Lauryn Hill, Can't Take My Eyes Off of You, which brings us to the subject at hand. So another report, the final report, I guess, more all-encompassing report of what happened at Uvalde unfolded yesterday. And every time, at every turn, I think with every inkling of information, we find out how disastrous this was. Now there were as many as 400 officers from as many as 12 municipalities from the state of Texas that were involved. 400 officers. There were 400 officers that for 77 minutes stayed out there where those children were slaughtered. Something comes to mind. I was watching Lawrence O'Donnell, and he was giving a recount of the video. And of course, on the video, before the video starts, that a local newspaper in Texas released, the video of the Uvalde slaughtering, they blot out the children's faces and they cover their screaming. And that is what happens in America, because we never have to see or hear the full blunt of what we're allowing. The first thing they did was not show us that child being slaughtered. We get to turn our eyes away. We get to not see and not hear. Then they drowned out the sound of the kids screaming. We do not have to see or hear the consequences of our actions or inactions. It allows us to feel safer than we should, to feel more distance from it than we should. But we get to turn away, we get to avert, and everything that is too much for us to hear is too much for us to allow, right? If it's too much for us to see a child being slaughtered because of our action or inaction, it should be way too much for us to allow. If it's too much for us to hear children being slaughtered, it should be way too much for us to allow. But because we don't have to bear the brunt or hear the impact of our decisions or lack of them, we don't have to understand how deadly and dastardly this is. We don't have to watch that child being slaughtered when he comes across a gunman, because America's too timid for that. The viewers are too timid for that. We don't have to hear children screaming as they're slaughtered, because we are apparently too timid, but we're not too timid to let men walk around with weapons capable of this. We can't pretend like we're not connected to it, because when you don't have to see something, you get to pretend like you're not connected to it, like it isn't real, like it didn't happen. Like it was a video game or a figment of your imagination, but it was not. 400 men, law enforcement, and there was one man, one 18-year-old who had just turned 18, who they're not even sure had fired that weapon before, kept those 400 men at bay, those 400 men and women for 77 minutes. We get to see a video of no one being slaughtered. We get to hear a video of no one being slaughtered. We get to place it in the back of our mind that those parents don't, that community doesn't, but we do. And everything that is happening in that video, every sound that is uttered, every child that is slaughtered, we have allowed. We have said that this was okay, that this was American freedom. There was a famous man, he said, do not avert your eyes. You need to see this. You need to hear this. Let us be clear. If one 18-year-old untrained, he just had turned 18, if one 18-year-old untrained man can keep 400 men and women, 400 well-trained men and women at bay or at a distance or standing stock still for 77 minutes while children are being slaughtered, then that is a weapon that those people, that boy, and those people should not have. If it can keep 400 people is larger than most police departments in the United States of America. One man did that. One ill-trained boy, he's the equivalent of a boy, 18 years old, a few days after his 18th birthday, kept that many people at bay. That many people indecisive. That many people standing stock still while all those children were being slaughtered. If that is the case, why do we allow that on our streets? Oh, you know why we do? Because we don't have to see or hear the damage it wreaks. That's a little note from the GED section. We've got a jazz report coming up in 15 minutes. It's the D.L. Hughley Show.